All right, now that you've finished the core proof protocol training, I thought it might be nice to make a bonus video and just go over some additional questions, show you some different examples of the kinds of proof that you can put at the top of your page. So we're going to dive right in. And first thing I want to show you is this great example from Rivalflow AI. This is a division of SpyFu, and they've got this great picture from Google Search Console. What I really love about this is, first of all, you notice it's not a before and after picture, it's a single chart. But what they did that was just right, they put this little line right here, they added this green arrow, and they basically say, this is where we added our product, this is where we started using it, and you can see the difference right away from the before and after. So it's a single image, but they don't make the reader, the visitor, they don't make them think at all about what this image is saying. They instantly give it to them. If you scroll down below this, you can click some more images and you'll see that it switches in the above carousel there. You can see the different images show up, and that's really well done because, again, you don't have to think at all about what's being shown in the chart. You don't have to do any analysis. You can just instantly see the difference. What I would change about their page is they have this down a good bit. They have at the very top this offer to try the product free, but really before you want to try the product, you need to know what it does. I think it'd be smart for them to move this right to the top of the page and maybe right down here have the trial offer after they see the proof. But again, they're not consulting me on this, but I just wanted to show you this example so you could see what it looks like when there is no before and after. It's a single chart. Let me show you another example where there's no before, and that is our own website. And this is the offer that converted really well. We talked about in the email, and a couple things with this. One, this is a new and a novel concept, so there really isn't a great before picture that will demonstrate these individual keywords with the search volume. We spell everything out clearly in these little sections down here. With photos, often if the caption's below, people read them below. It's not to say if they were above, they wouldn't work. We have, obviously, this is, the placement. It's to the right versus right above. And this is exactly what they're going to get. It's spelled out very clearly here. But again, we're trying to show a bunch of different keywords and the search volume. And what will happen after they run these placeholder tests and they do the keyword probing, they can then see the number of search volume, how much traffic they'll get once the pages are indexed. And so we show this information on this, so it doesn't have the before, but it does have the after. And that is the key, is really you need to make them see that they will get the result. And the after is the most important for that. If the condition is such that the before won't make sense, like we could have put a column and just put, zeros to try and say prior to having these rankings, you would get zero traffic, but that's a little bit obvious. So if your solution, if your result is novel and new, and there isn't an obvious before state, and it would confuse the person coming to try and analyze what is this before state and this after state, then you can just put the after state. That's the key, is that they can see the result they're going to get. The before state does make sense, though, when they can identify with it. In this example here, obviously, the person who sees this image may not have a red Mustang, but what they can see right away is the expertise of this body shop. They can see the type of damage that they were given with this vehicle, and they can see how they fix that and how the vehicle looks post the damage. Even if theirs is not damaged that badly, they can still see the expertise of this particular body shop. And so in this case, if they had just put the after picture, there would be no context to know what did it start as. It looks great now, but the moment you put the before picture, you give the context that shows how good this work really is. In an email example, let me show you this one here. We talked about sales letters, but this is probably one of the emails that you purchased this product from right here. And you'll notice right at the top, we follow the same pattern. So right away, we basically tell them what they can expect to get. We give them the before and after. That's the statistics from our backend analytics showing the two campaigns. And then we basically tell the story. We tell what happened. We even use the without and even if concepts here. This is an example of how you could use the proof protocol in an email. Next, I want to show you the concept of a torture test again. When the before setting is really bad, then what happens is people say, well, my yard's not that bad. So if they can take this and turn it into this here and make it look this good, then imagine what they could do with my yard. And so, and sometimes the before picture, if it's real, it can be slightly exaggerated in this case. It's not that you're saying their yard looks that bad. They obviously know that. It's you're saying that this is the amount of talent that I have, that I can take something this ugly and make it this beautiful if you'll hire me. And then people say, well, if they can do that, they can certainly do anything in my yard. And that's true of like Tide when they squirt mustard and wine and they, awful things on white t-shirts and then they get it out with Tide. That's the torture test. So one way you can come up with good before and after pictures in an industry like this where you do, amazing renovations is think of the torture test and what's the before picture in a torture test and what's the after that you can show off your skills. I bring up this review and I don't like this one, but let me explain. There's nothing wrong with what the person did. It's just that the minute you see this chart, you have to think a lot about what it's actually saying because these numbers are similar here. And then you kind of have to look at it. And when you look at it, it makes sense. So again, this is month to date. He's showing the previous month. The two lines here is the previous month and the current month. In the previous month, he made 2,208. He's got 10,628 this month. That's a growth of 381.3%. And this is net volume versus gross volume. It's all real and it's explainable. But in a glance, someone looking at this, they're not really going to understand what this chart is saying, and then they're going to have to think, and you might lose them there. Now, in this example, this is one image of hundreds on the page that Todd is using to demonstrate the power of his program. So this isn't an issue at all because he's got many other examples. But as far as charts go, I wanted to bring out the importance that your charts need to be instantly understandable so people get it right away. They know exactly. The other thing to point out, and it's not the case with this, but because this number's higher and this one's lower, I wanted to point out, don't put the after on the left side and the before on the right. And I think the reason that is mentally is because we say before and after. Before's in the past, after's after, now, but more sooner than before was. Okay. So we say before and after. So the before I think should be on the left and the after should be on the right. And maybe in your culture where you're living, maybe that wouldn't be the case. I don't know. But I think for, someone speaking English, we have the concept of before and after. And I think that's the way you should lay it on the page. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but just want to point that out. For charts, this one would be a poor example. We don't know really what happened with this chart. Like, was something important here that we're supposed to know? It's not spelled out. This is someone trying to save money, so I'm not even sure he was trying to demonstrate anything more than just a curve. But again, the amount, we're not really sure if that's important. We're not sure on this curve if there's something we should note. It's just like a historical trend up. But if this was, say, on a product page and you're trying to demonstrate that this is important, you're going to need to add some things to this chart to make it instantly understandable. What is the importance of this number, or what is the importance of the curve, or maybe the bump, maybe something happened here that's important. Again, even if the text above and below the proof image explains what's in the image, as people's eyes are drawn to the image right at the top of your page, it needs to be instantly understandable. What is the image saying, right? They should instantly grasp it. Like less than 10 seconds, they should know exactly what the image is and what it means for them, like the results they're going to get. This one is pretty neat because it's very different. It doesn't have a before aspect. It has an after aspect, but I wanted to point out something in these couple of images here is one, this clearly is like a Zoom call, and you can see the quality of the image isn't that good. And I think it's probably good that the quality is not great, only because you instantly kind of feel like it's a real image. One of the issues online is people use like stock photos, or they use really amazing photos, really good photos, and people question because they know what their photos look like. Their photos aren't perfect. Their photos have lighting issues, exposure issues. Maybe they're a little blurry at times, out of focus. When all of your pictures of your proof are perfect, people will probably question if they're real. In this case, just taking a screen grab from a Zoom call was pretty brilliant. And obviously he added this red outline so your eye would look over here to see what he's trying to show you here. But it's a great proof image because again, he's showing this is the after state of the person buying the product, and they're on this Zoom call and they're sharing and talking about this result. So that's a good example there. This one's interesting. It's made more powerful probably by the inclusion of a book, which people can probably find on Amazon. And this particular individual, which I suspect many of the people seeing the page will know who this is. It's also amplified by him putting the entire screen. Now, he could have just cut out this iMessage section here without the top. But if you think about it, it's again another example where you use the exact screens that your customers look at. It feels more real. So you can see Todd has 4 other messages messages waiting for him. You can see his cell signal. You can see his provider. You can see the time of day, his battery's low. And then he's got this, circle here. We can see the iMessage. We understand what he's talking about here. And instantly, we don't really question the proof image itself. We just accept that this is real. And it is real. I'm not questioning that it's not real. I'm just saying psychologically, this picture works really well because it's a conversation between Todd and Todd Herman right here, these two people, and they're talking about the results they got, and then he circles it. Again, Todd did a great job where he circled it, and he also gave it a headline up here, maybe a better font that almost looks like a 5 when really it's a $, but he's trying to show kind of like a handwritten font pointing to the results from the iMessage. These two match. It's like a headline to proof. That's an excellent example of the way to do proof there. This one is not as good, and what would have been really nice, because he shows this as a record month here, if he had just moved this up just a hair so we could have seen the May 2018 line, we would have obviously seen this as a record month. We don't have the comparison to know, if this May was like $1,000 or was it like, $9,000. This still would be a record month, even if this was $9,000, but in the chance that this was like way lower, like $1,000 or $2,000, this $9,000 would have looked a lot better. The after would look more impressive. This is kind of like the car example. The car looked so bad before that the after looks really impressive. That would have been really cool if we knew that information. So nothing wrong with this. It's kind of homemade, which is pretty obviously right away, but that's cool. And let's see, one more here. Yeah, okay, so this one, again, it's probably from a Zoom call, just a screen grab. It's fuzzy, but that's fine. It works for it. This is a little bit hard to read, but that might actually work in a strange way in the favor of this image, because as people squint and have to focus to see what that number is, they actually spend more time thinking about, what this guy's doing here, holding his phone up. But what is cool about this, because he's holding his phone up and he's right inside the dashboard of his app, probably his payment processor, many of the people that see this image will know exactly which payment processor he's using, and they will have seen theirs with these bars, down here with no sales, and now they see this and it's like a fantasy of theirs to get those kind of sales and to see that kind of a balance with his payment processor. So another really good example. So I wanted to show you these examples just to give you an idea of the different ways that you can go about this. You don't have to 100% of the time use the exact before and after formula, if you will, two images separated before and after. You don't have to do that every time. There are some times when that doesn't make sense. Another thing I didn't touch on is if your product is emotional in nature. So let's say a wedding photographer, right? So, the before and after picture, you're not going to show like an ugly bride and then a good looking bride. Maybe you could show, if you were you corrected photos or something, you could show maybe the quality of your touch-up work or something like that. But what you want to do in those cases, if it's very emotional, you want to show result images that show the people having the emotion that you want your customers to fantasize about. So they want to see like happy, smiling, romantic. If it's a wedding photographer, they want all those things. You want to bring your best photos forward right at the top that say, oh, wow, this person is taking pictures of exactly what I want my wedding to feel like and be like. And so that would be an example for an emotional situation. If you have additional questions, again, I really want to help you. So if you have additional questions or you want me to take a look at a before and after picture or give some feedback, do not hesitate to email me, and I will be more than happy to take a look at it. I love to come up with new ideas and analyze things, so I'd love to take a look at what you've got, and I'll give you some honest feedback, try and help you. My goal is to make you as successful as possible and to give you the highest converting page possible, and by making sure that you get the proof just right.